Thanks. Good morning. We're going to go ahead and start. Come on in. Yeah. All right. I've got to do this, right? Okay. I'm not good at doing this. Where do I point? Yeah. Maybe we're going to start. Are you awake? Good. I hope you stay that way. Oh, okay, great. I'm going to talk a little bit about an individualized approach to personnel preparation or university training preparation in our field, and what we've learned about how we can do more through collaboration. I'm Laura Bozeman. So one thing we found and learned is that certainly one size does not fit all, that all of our collaborations have got to be individualized, and sometimes we don't have all that information when we first start. So we sort of learn as we go. We've used collaboration to figure out how to prepare people for our low incidence profession. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges and some of our solutions that we found through doing this, and it changes all the time. I'll give you a little bit about our foundation for our model. It was a very old presentation now of results of research that was done in the late 1990s. And a bit about the Northeast Resource Center for Vision Education, which is how we started at the University of Massachusetts, Boston with the Vision Studies program. And then the good part is you get to see some pictures and things like that of some of our previous partnerships and what worked and what didn't. Some of the challenges is just the topics of our profession. Vision impairment is a low incidence disability, and there's always a lot of training to people and information sharing for people to even know that our profession just of orientation and mobility even exists. Most people don't know that there are people like us who support and teach kids and adults with vision impairment. At least you have to understand too, I'm from the United States, and so a lot of our comparison experiences are from the US. So if I say that there are high costs associated with university preparation for a low incidence disability, I'm not saying globally, I'm just saying that's our experience in North America, actually. It's not like psychology or education where a university may have hundreds of university students in one program. You know, if we had a vision program in every single state in the United States, there might be one university student or three. There's just not enough to fund and fulfill a program. And then that causes budget constraints. For us, it's federal budget problems and state budget problems, and then the local problems, and also with the university. The model for our program is based on a really neat research study, National Plan for Training Personnel to Serve Children with Blindness and Low Vision, affectionately called the NPTP because we can't say all of that, published in the year 2000. Data were collected in the late 1990s by Mason, Davidson, and McNerney. So it's an older study now, but some of the results still apply. It was a comprehensive research about teachers of students with vision impairment and the needs, and orientation and mobility specialists, but I'm going to confine it to what this conference is about, and that's the O&M. One of the results and findings was at that time, and this was just about children and students, birth through 21 years, didn't even take into account the needs for adults and older people, older adults. They found then that we needed another 10,000 orientation and mobility specialists to meet the need at that time. That's a lot of people. They also recommended expanding the geographic area. Again, not one university in one city in a state. And collaborating to have better results. Their recommendation was to look at distance education, and you have to realize when these data were collected, it was the late 1990s, and so we weren't doing as much. Distance education could have been that I would travel on a weekend and meet with 10 or 12 people and teach them all day on Saturday and sometimes Sunday. And then I travel back to the university. That was considered a form of distance education at the time. Or it could be videos. There were videos that were mailed back and forth. Probably not the most exciting way to get that kind of content. So they wanted to look at different remote learning opportunities to also get people who lived in really rural areas to be able to take advantage and become an orientation mobility specialist if they wanted. So we promoted university collaboration, and for that funding money piece, we would work together with other universities or agencies to try to pool money together to try to meet those needs. It's always been important to listen to cultural frameworks and diversity needs, because we have always felt in the United States that we don't have the diversity we need, whether it's diversity in people with disabilities or racial or ethnic diversity, that, you know, we need those kinds of mentors in our field so that the people we serve and support, you know, can identify a little bit more. So we wanted to improve that. At the University of Massachusetts at Boston, I didn't do this. This was already done before I got there. It created the Northeast Resource Center for Vision Education, and it was tied to the university, but it was also tied to the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. In the United States, most universities have this type of an office, and that was how Vision Studies was actually got the into the university. So we have one university that UMass Boston that serves 6 New England states. That's how it started. And it was done through collaboration with the departments of education and with agencies and things like that throughout those 6 states. So we had support. In fact, when my colleague Bob started this, there was an orientation mobility program. It was the first one at Boston College. And when they closed, then Bob was living in Massachusetts, and he, of course, felt there was a real need. So tried to switch that to University of Massachusetts, Boston. So we got all of the departments of education together, which is quite an accomplishment, and got them on the same page, and they actually gave us money. I mean, I wasn't there yet, but they actually gave money to support this distance collaboration. So just some examples of some of our partnerships. We began regionally with the 6 states, and then we started working with Taiwan. Taiwan needed some assistance with orientation and mobility. They had a university preparing teachers of students with vision impairment. And she knew orientation mobility. I'd met her when she was at the University of Texas. And I had been going over since the year 2000 to together with her prepare people. But then our university got involved in 2007. The Pacific Islands, we were able to be involved with that thanks to Donna McNair. All these children in the Pacific Islands, and there was one trained teacher of students with vision impairment, and she lives in American Samoa. So talk about distance education. It was a long trip. So we started that in 2011, and we're currently writing another grant to hopefully support another cohort there. In Puerto Rico, we officially started in 2014. Kind of similar thing. They have a university program to prepare teachers of students with vision impairment. And those are the professionals who also teach O&M, but they didn't have any O&M training. So we started with them, and with hurricanes and everything that seems to happen in Puerto Rico, it's 2 steps forward and a little step back, but we're limping along through there. So some of the things we figured out finally, again, all collaborations are different. Every single one is different. I totally expect the one we're working on again in the Pacific Islands to be very different from when we started in 2011. I think it's just going to be different. We want to figure out how to do, at least university-wise, what everybody wants to do, and that's be able to get good quality foundations and training and preparation for people who serve and support kids and adults with vision impairment. So I didn't have all my pictures with me. I just moved back in the States. I haven't unpacked most of what I need. And but this is one of the pictures from Taiwan. We have collaborations with National Taiwan Normal University and the National University of Tainan. And there's a picture here with about 20 people from Taiwan in it. And they were university students who learned about O&M. And there's been quite a few groups, and it's usually a big group. And then they teach other people. And so it's been really, really, really nice. The Pacific was also had some federal funding in the United States to prepare TBIs and O&Ms in the Pacific region. And it was really good. And I already told you that the TBIs do O&M, but we found that some of the needs in that area, it just takes so much of the grant money, because we needed, even though we were distance education, we needed to be there. We needed to have those relationships and meet people face to face and listen to what their needs were. So it didn't take long before we had exhausted the travel budget. So we just have to figure out another way to do that. I have more information on the Pacific collaboration. So this slide has a picture of the various islands, and some of them are labeled, but it's just to say that there are many, many, many small islands in this area achromatopsia and anophthalmia and microophthalmia, very, very common, whereas maybe on the US mainland, they're certainly less common. But I visited many classes of children, young children, at schools, and the majority of the children in the class had one of those two eye disorders, and no one to support them and help them with Braille or orientation mobility or anything. So this is just an example of one of the needs. This picture is a 2-year-old. Her name is Avilia. They live in Micronesia on the island of Ponape, and she is seated with her grandmother. And her grandmother said, I have one request. I have one request. The little girl has got achromatopsia. She needs services. She needs support. And she said, I just don't want her to go away. This is a 2-year-old, to go away, to leave her family, to leave her community because she needs these services. We need to bring them here. It's a very tiny island, and to bring them there. Well, that really rings true. It makes good sense that you wouldn't want to send your child or your grandchild away to have those kinds of services. So some of the challenges as a university program trying to give the content in the curricula, some of the challenges was everyone spoke English, but some better than others, and they were taking curriculum that was in English. Everybody spoke a different language. If their first language was not like all Chamorro or Samoan or anything like that. So we looked at trying to have all the content translated, but it didn't appear to be possible at the time. So all of these people are taking content in English, but we would get them together on Guam. We would all come together on Guam and meet and have some of our orientation mobility training and teach them to teach. But we put a cultural liaison, Connie. She didn't speak all of the languages, but she knew enough about most of them that she helped us create English content that was clearer, that was not strange, odd English words, but at least more understandable English words. And then she would also help the students who were in the program. If they just didn't understand what the assignment was asking, then she would help them understand what the assignment was. She was invaluable to the collaboration. Establishing office hours where we would have synchronous sessions. We weren't there in person, but we would get together weekly, office hours. It was just time to talk. And that was a challenge because we didn't want our university students to have to be, most of them worked as teachers. So we didn't want them to be having to attend something in the middle of their workday. We also didn't want them to have to be doing that at 3 a.m. in the morning. So we finally worked it out. It was really quite difficult. You would have thought none of us had ever done this before. It was hard. Guam, Chuuk, and CNMI were Saturdays from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. Ponape, Kalsrai were Saturdays from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. American Samoa, Fridays from 4 to 5. I'm just going through all this so you understand, just so we could all meet together. Hawaii was Fridays from 5 to 6. And then in Boston, we were Friday nights from 11 to midnight, or if we were on daylight savings and flipped around, we were at 1 in the morning. So it was really quite cumbersome, but we worked it out. We finally worked it out. So these I have some pictures here when we went to the communities. We have the associate director of the University of Guam Cedars, June De Leon, picture on the left, and then the lady next to her, the taller lady, was the head of the whole Department of Education. There's a director of special education there, and the lady on your far right is the one person from American Samoa who is trained. She was trained in California as a teacher of students with vision impairment, but no O&M training. She had no O&M training. And then the picture on the right is my colleague, Bob McCulley, and with the TVI person in the middle, and we had clothing for American Samoa, so it's kind of nice. We visited the schools, and these happened to all be in American Samoa, and how the schools were set up, and how students in the schools would have to go from building to building rather than just classroom to classroom in one building. We do have a picture of students changing classes. We have permission to show all these, and they kind of liked that we were there. They were really cute. And then the bottom picture is just in one of their classrooms. Again, pictures in classrooms. I do have videos, but I'm not gonna attempt that this time. But one is a picture of one of their students with vision impairment using a Mountbatten. There's a young lady with, she's totally blind, who's in the choir. And she told us she was getting ready to go into community college, and she told us she wanted to be a teacher of students with vision impairment. So that was interesting. And then the bottom picture is just some computer applications with a student with low vision. So it's a picture of all of our scholars in that 2011 group. They're all standing, and we had a pretty good turnout. That many people stayed with the entire program. We started out with 24, and I think we ended up with 19 who finished and completed TVI and O&M. So that was good. And then there's 6 of us in the front who were down there for the O&M courses. And then right in the middle of the front is our cultural liaison, Connie. In Puerto Rico, I should show that. I'll go back and show you the mural at the first because I didn't talk about it. Our collaboration is with the University of Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rico Department of Education. Basically, they have a TVI program, but they teach those TVIs teach O&M, but they had no O&M background or instruction. So that was kind of problematic, especially teaching in San Juan, where it's busy, just like here. We also partnered with the Veterans Administration, serve adults. So we were able to get the across the lifespan experiences for our students. And then most recently, I would say that we have a partnership with Child Vision. Nobody told me I could say this, so I'm hoping I can. It's done. I have a partnership with Child Vision, and we're trying to support, all of us together, support professional accreditation for their really amazing people who are already doing orientation and mobility there, and looking into low vision and orientation and mobility preparation. So I want to see if I can show you this. Well, let me do this here. Again, each collaboration is different, and we need to do cultural research. I think many times I feel like I have an idea of how the vision impairment culture and needs and all that, and then I go and I find I don't have the idea. But we found we needed to be flexible and willing to change. The first time we went to Puerto Rico, Bob and I we knew we were meeting with the heads of the DOE and, you know, the people who brought us there for dinner. But then the next day we were going to meet with prospective students. And so we prepared this PowerPoint thing and what is it going to mean and what do you have to do? Because at a university, at least in the United States, you don't always have a whole lot of latitude to changing big things that are way above my pay grade. So we were ready. We were just ready. We went to dinner with them. We got into town. We went to dinner with them, and just a dinner. It wasn't even intended to be a working dinner, but just that dinner let us know that we had misread this completely about what they needed and how it was to be done, and trying to be really conscious that we're not coming in as we're from the United States and we know everything, you know, and here, we'll teach you how to do it, which is not how we felt, but we didn't want to have that be perceived in that way. But the more we just talked with them and visited with them that evening, we realized that, oh, we have this wrong. So Bob and I stayed up all night and reworked that whole thing. Couldn't do that today, but it made a difference. It really made a difference. So that's just a picture of UMass Boston, but can I go back to the first without having to? Can I go back to the first slide? Thank you. It just is, I should have said something about it and I didn't. Thank you. This is a mural this is at University of Puerto Rico, and many of the students in that university had created this mural. It's really colorful. It's kind of abstract, but has some things. And this is a meeting place where students between classes can get together and just rest or talk or whatever. And we just fell in love with this picture, and I forgot to mention it. So I just wanted you to know. Thank you. I'm finished. Think I'm done?
Excuse me. I make a short reminder announcement. I think on Tuesday morning, I made an announcement about the attendee survey, but if you haven't completed the attendee survey yet, please complete them using a hard copy survey, which is available at the front desk. In Stanislav's email yesterday, there's a link to the survey, so you could complete them online as well. This will allow us to keep the trend, look at the trend of the roles and functions of the attendees over time. So thank you.
Doesn't suggest.
Mównicy, to jest ten
Jest,
Jest,
proszę,
może
proszę
jakiś
Panią. To jest,
stojak ewentualnie na mikrofon, czy cokolwiek, czy ja...
może Pani pozwoli. Możemy tego. I tutaj,
Okej.
to jest mikrofon.
Wija góra-dół te slajdy.
Hello? Yes, here you can hear me. My name is Inga Berntsson. I'm from Sweden, and I will be here during the talks this morning. So you're very welcome, and I think it's time to start. And the first speaker is Justyna Rogowska, and you are from University of Gdansk here in Poland. So you are welcome to start.
Okay. I'm sorry for my English, and I don't have enough experience to talk in English. So just I I would like to try, but I want to express my emotions, and I hope that I will can. So I'm from the University of Gdańsk. It's the university in the north of Poland. In this In this year, I graduated my PhD. It's about new technologies in the experience of blind people in the pedagogical perspective. What about the aim? I tried to reconstruct the experiences of using new technologies by blind people. I've made 13 interviews with different blind persons. They were very well rehabilitated people. They have extensive knowledge and individual experiences of using new technologies, of the participation of new technologies in their life. During my thesis, I formulated the main research questions. What are the experiences of using new technologies related to modern technologies from the pedagogical perspective? And I also asked 6 detailed questions, as I hope that you can see on the presentation. Their struggle towards the autonomy and emancipation, it was not very easy process. The group was diverse in the terms of age. The youngest person is 29, and the oldest one is 85. Yes, 85. So we can assume that they have different experiences, especially with education, especially with work activity, because most of the group started their life before the 90s, before the time of transformation in Poland. They have quite difficult experiences because in Poland there are not many spirit in integration and social inclusion before the transformation, I mean. All narrators talked about their lives from the very beginning until now. I mean that they mentioned about the childhood, time at school, and experiences from adult to majority. Depending on specific biography, various terms emerge in the story. Some of the respondents focused on vision loss also, and rehabilitation process, and different activities connected with rehabilitation process. They also talk about social activity and other different activities which they take part in. In the interviews, I also heard a lot of stories about families, role of the relatives in the process of being independent. Apart from family life and rehabilitation process, they have a lot of interest. They emphasize that they love especially reading books, listening to music, and different physical activities. My thesis has 6 different chapters, as I present here. Yes, the first one is concentrated on theoretical models, definition of disability, and regulations. The second is related to the functioning of vision impaired people. I also characterize the basic disorders and the difficulties in the cognitive process and social behavior. And in the first chapter, I was focused on autonomy and discussed the issues of achieving autonomy, the role of NGO in this process, also mobility and orientation. And the fourth one was dedicated to the role of new technologies. The next 2 chapters was dedicated to methodology, and in the 6th chapter, I tried to show my interviews, the categories which I selected, and then I finished my thesis with recommendations, conclusions, and indicated limitations in the research. For all my respondents, for all 13 people, new technologies were very important in their life in different aspects. As I mentioned, they were important in the education, in the study at the universities, at work also. They were glad that they exist in the times where new technologies exist. They emphasize that new technologies help them in a lot of aspects in their independent life. They also mentioned that they can't work without new technologies. We have some quotations of Monica's. She was one of my interviews, and she emphasized how important for her work, for her job activity, is using new technologies. The next person, she described new technologies as a window to the work. She also mentioned that she couldn't finish her studies without new technologies. She was very young. She was 29 during the interview. So she went to the school and she used new technologies, different devices in her school also. The next person emphasized very big privacy because of using new technologies. She also mentioned that she couldn't finish her studies without new technologies. And the next person, Pavel, he talked about his education and his final exam. And he was the first person from the school in Krakow who in the 19th passed his final exam using the new technology. Because he lost his vision in the beginning of the high school, and he didn't have enough time to study Braille, to read in Braille, to write also. So in this case, he decided to pass his final exam using the new technologies, and it was very important for him. The next person, Helena, Helenka, she is 85, and she lived very long without new technologies. They appeared in her life quite late. And that's why she remembers the years without new technology. And when she started to use them, she emphasized how her life changed because of new technologies. Autonomy is also very important aspect in the life of my respondents. They mentioned a very important role of autonomy, the access of free life. And they also mentioned the frustration of unavailability of, for example, using service, different service, for example, also bank service. and they emphasize the problems with different websites and different services, and their frustration during those problems. Sometimes narrators, they have additional diseases. Very important disease is, for example, diabetic, and they emphasize how sound glucometers can help them in everyday life. I try to devote a lot of space to the recommendations. I would like that the recommendation can help a lot of specialists who work with vision impaired people. So a lot of my respondents, they talk that they would like to be treated as the whole people, and their disability is not an obstacle to take various activities. So for the instructors, for the educators, it's very important to treat those people in the same way as other part of the group. The next recommendation, they emphasize that the appropriate introduction to the school process by, for example, teachers, directors, and other staff is very important, because when blind students are well introduced to the school process, they can better function in the school community. The next recommendation, a lot of respondents use their private devices, private computers, and other things in the school, and that's why it's very important to bring and to buy computer, new technologies in the schools, in the universities, and in other places. So many of narrators also mentioned that their families help they a lot in the in their education. The next one, system of education. Poland, we have a lot of discussions which system of education is better for blind people. Is it better to be in the special schools dedicated for the blind people, or is it better to be in the typical school, for example, with integration classes or other? So my respondents, they told that it depends on the individual personal experiences, on the individual situation. It depends on relatives, on family community also, and everything is every system is very good if the person is well rehabilitated, and sometimes the rehabilitation process is more easier to be realized in the, for example, in the special school, when the school have enough teachers, enough staff, enough instructors who can teach the students, and then after the basic rehabilitation process, they can go to the different school with sighted people and use the ability from the, for example, special school. And so it's not easy to to give the answer of this question, what is better? And the next recommendation, mobility instructors for my respondents, they also made a very big role, and they recommended to take part in the mobility trainings from the beginning. For them, it was very important. And the next one was connected with very big problem with internet, with websites, with different portals. And apart from the regulations, they suggested another work with support the usefulness of the websites. It's important for my respondents also to get standards of different issues. They mentioned that there, in many cases, there is a very big lack in standardization of different solutions, which help them in everyday life. Sometimes they feel that's very big help from, for example, their relatives. It was an obstacle in achieving autonomy. And in that case, it's necessary to train, to work with families, with relatives of blind person, in which case they can help, and in which case they don't help their children, their sisters, brothers, or other. And they also mentioned that the help from the relatives, from family, was also very very necessary. So sometimes it can help a lot, and sometimes it's a disturbing process. My interviewers, they have additional different talents, and their talents, their abilities help them in the integration with other society. It's very important for people who are not who don't believe in their abilities. Yes, okay, thank you. Also for my respondents, it's very important to have goals and realize them. Motivation is very important in that case. They want to have small goals, and then when they achieve small goals, they want to have another goals. Having goals and achieving them is very important for my respondents also. They also mentioned that to use properly new technology, different devices, they need to know how they can use the new technologies, and in that case, it's very important to have different trainings to improve the knowledge of using new technologies. And they still it's very difficult process, and they still have to improve the knowledge. It's not a process. Guys. For all of them, new technologies take part their life. Without them, they can't live as they live now. And new technologies are very important in the rehabilitation process. They have bigger privacy, and they don't have to ask another people for help. Yes, yes. And what they mentioned, new technologies, they help them to be active in the many different aspects. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time, so thank you for your attention. And if you want to contact with me, if you have questions, please write an email to me. I work in the University of Gdańsk, Justyna Rogowska, and here is my email address. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Christina. And good to have your contact details, and people can email you or make contact with you. I don't think there is time for questions by now, but I think we'll give the floor to the next speaker, Piotr Bornowicz, something. I don't know how to pronounce it. Are you some of the speakers now? No? Yes, you are. Welcome. Welcome. There's a microphone here. You can stay here.
To hear the details. While pointing, touch the board with only one finger.
So it's time for the next presentation. Piotr, I think, I don't know exactly how I pronounce your second name and where you are from. Please, if you could introduce yourself before your speech, and you're going to talk about development of accessibility for culture and administration based on innovations and grants.
Hello, everyone. My name is Piotr Goniewicz, and I'm here to represent our company S2 project. And I have to speak about innovations for the culture. But first, I think I should tell a little bit about Polish programs where they're thinking about people with special needs. And our company makes everything for the blind persons. I think everyone knows what means VIP. So when someone knows what means VIP, I can use it. Okay, for us, it's not very important person also, but for us, it means visual impairment person. Okay, in Poland, we've got many programs for some kind of people. For example, at this moment, it's a very big program for the Polish government, Disability Plus, and now comes new program, public area accessible. And we are making all things for the blind people. For example, horizontal guidance on the floors and everything for digitalization, also for visual, for example, pictograms, tactical maps. And today I will tell you about our product, new product in Only Us. We have made this. It's talking painting. I think I should let me introduce my principals, Jacek Rożański and Magdalena Ruć. Oh, they gone? Because Jacek Rożański, my boss, he's made this product. He called him touch art. What that means? We've got the product. Maybe some of you saw this product since Monday till yesterday, and there is a picture. It's right here. It works on the way that if someone blind will want to see a painting, for example, if someone will see this picture, when he's touching with more than one finger, he can feel everything with the fingers. For some people, for visual impairments who can see something, he can see also every colors, what is in the original pictures, original paintings. When someone blind doesn't know what is a mystery behind some element, and take this picture. I will hold a moment.
Hold your finger on the point of the picture to hear the details. While pointing, touch the board with only one finger.
So I said, if someone doesn't know what is on the picture, some special element, he can touch and hold for a moment the finger.
Face. Deep neckline of the dress. Beige and white ermine.
So it works. It's I think it's a great idea for people. They want to know many about paintings of great artists, of work arts. For example, once I was in Louvre, and I was in front of Mona Lisa. For me, it was real mysteries. Everyone says, "Oh, what beautiful painting!" Okay, that was maybe beautiful painting, but I couldn't touch it. What is very important for the blind people, and maybe that is a very good innovation for the culture that we made this product, this touch art, and then the blind people can see what is on this painting. In the future, we want to make on the same way, for example, books, tactical plans, and others, because this is possible. Because how it's made, I can't say it because it's a company secret. And I think, what can I tell more? Maybe you've got questions.
How looks Mona Lisa then?
For example, we are gonna painting Mona Lisa on a special board here. And we have to program this touch art. Then some blind person will touch at first, will touch with a more one fingers, for example, 2 fingers or whole hands, because there are many ways to see the word for the blind people. And then the picture will be quiet. If someone doesn't know what it is under your finger, then he should hold the finger in one place, and then the painting will say what it is. And then people will see how looks Mona Lisa. It's simple and not simple. Any questions more?
Ask a question. Is it on? No?
Yeah.
Okay, no? Have to be here? Okay.
Maybe someone want to try how it works.
But the wholeness of the picture, or is there some details?
Please once again. Is it possible what?
To give an overall description of the whole picture.
Oh yes. Also, this is possible because we can put inside, we can program in this machine all information about the paintings, for example, or other things, and we can also make this in many languages. This is possible. All technology can do this for us. Something more?
You have some questions? I can have the microphone.
Okay, let us show you a little movie about the pictures and about other things where we are doing for the blind people. May I move it, please?
Signboard with logo. Rich texture of the picture, high quality audio. That's the sense of hearing and touch, audio and full option. Balcony radar. Go left to use elevator. Graphic reader for blind, audio description system, hypergraphic image structure, dedicated to graphics, maps, educational materials, and books.
So, as you could see on this movie, we're making a lot of things for the blind people, even this touch art. What is important at this moment, touch art is expensive technology because it isn't mass production, and it always ups to client what he wants to buy. For example, the normal price, regular price is something about 20,000 euros. And that's the reason why the people looking for donations for it. For example, European Union dotation or government dotations. So I said it's always up to client what he wants to have on the touch art. I think that's all. Do you have any questions more?
There were any questions? No? Nothing here? Is it just this product or is it possible to see it at any university or any museums or somewhere? Or as a map?
Will you forgive me? I can hear.
Excuse me, it's difficult to hear here, I know. I just wonder if it's possible to see how this function in a natural milieu at the museum, or have you used it somewhere?
Yes, because I think that the dedicated client for us, there are institutions and museums. It's very important for the culture that we hope that many paintings we could see in many museums in the world. For example, some pictures, some our pictures are, for example, in museum in Krakow, in a Castle Wawel, and are the other places. In the future, we want to make a special gallery, and we want to show all the productions in one place, and the blind people could see what we made at this moment.
But then there will be replicas in some way of the more famous paintings. That's so. If you put it in a special place, it's an.
In Louvre, maybe.
What?
In Louvre, maybe.
Probably would. I hope that they will make Mona Lisa. Because there are many people talking about Mona Lisa, one of the famous paintings. And for us, for blind, that is abstraction. Good. Well, everyone says, what is beautiful? Oh, a legendary painting. Okay. I think if it's all, I will finish.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I look at the schedule, and if we will be in line with the other presentations, I don't know if is Margareta Szczepaniak here by now? No. I think we can take a little break and start at 10. So that will be in line if someone comes from the other session and come back to this session. So a break for 10, 12 minutes. So welcome back. one of you is the speaker? No? Okay. Have to wait and see.
Ingen, det var någonting om något cancelled.
Yes, I know that was two councils, but that was in room number 3. And this is room number 5. Yes, but that wasn't in here. No. How to help visually impaired youth to be independent. I think we have to wait some more minutes if someone will come because we haven't heard anything about any cancellations. Wow, it would be great. I understand. I'm just about
I can also make a speech.
station.
Yes. I have a theory on mind. I am an elk. And this was the theory of mine. Men Inge, vad hette den som kom som skulle ha sen? Ja, all right. Ja. Nej, det förstår jag. Men människan är ju inte här.
Make some phone calls and see what has happened. Someone else knows. So we have to wait.
Mm.
Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Inga Berntsson. I'm from Sweden. We haven't heard about any cancellation. They are trying to reach these people from Poland. And we will start at 10:30 with Angelikili and Panagiotti, because if someone wants to listen to you, then we have to be in time. But we have up here, we have Dennis Corey, who started the IMC conferences. And if you would like to have some memories and a short speak from Dennis, he said yes to do that. Would you like that for those who are here? Great, great. You are so very welcome, Dennis. This is very much of an improvisation, but something extra. Yes. I think we can see if this works here. Yes, it's very comfortable to stand here. We'll see if it works.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see such a big crowd. And anyone who wants to leave, feel free to do so. Yeah, let's see. In 1979, Rick Welsh, who had helped to write the Red Book on mobility, came to Germany, where I was working, and talked to the director of our school about improving our mobility program. And since we had Rick there, we said we're going to have a conference and invite people from all over Europe to come and talk with him. And we did that in Frankfurt. The speeches were fairly good. The evening, the director of the place where we had the conference put 2 cases of beer in the basement and said, "Have a nice evening." We communicated about one another's programs and progress we were making and some that we weren't. And at the end, we said, we should do this again. And one of the participants from France said, well, we could do this in Paris.
We thought, well, that would be okay. And it's a UNESCO building in Paris with translation in 5 languages, and a magnificent program with the mayor of Paris talking to us in French, unfortunately. And at that time, Hubert Wiesenhofer from Austria came to us at breakfast and said, we'd like to do this in Vienna. And we thought, this is kind of strange, because we had no organization, we had no budget, and people were just doing this. So I'll make a very long story short by saying it went then with Norbert Neustadt to Jerusalem. Then we went to Eindhoven in Holland. That's where the IMC flag was developed. I'm surprised to see there's so many of the flags here. I thought they'd all been stolen. We went then to Madrid, which was really fascinating. Each one of us got an onsen ticket for the lottery. None of us won. But the conference at that point became really well organized. And we still did not have an organization. We had no structure. We had no voting. There were no politics involved. On to Australia and Coventry. Then, more or less celebrating the beginning of O&M in the United States, we went to Atlanta, Georgia, where Bruce Bleish and Eileen Sifferman, Eileen, who's now the chairman, developed the program. The idea behind it was to communicate. We wanted people to have the opportunity to talk together. Of course, we wanted presentations. They're important to get new information. But the most important thing was the communication after the sessions were over. And as it continued to develop, it became more and more expensive. At the beginning, we had 5 languages. Then we went to the language of the home country plus English. And following that, it stayed that way. When we were in New Zealand, it was probably the longest trip for most of the people to get to an IMC that we ever had. But now I'm hearing that the next time around it's going to be in India. So I'm giving away a secret you don't know yet. You know, the other people. Yeah. The main thing was that we would have also an exhibition of lights for the blind, and we've seen a wide variety of canes being introduced. Some of them are almost like airplanes. They have sonic devices in them. They have flexible joints, wonderful tips. And we've also had some interesting devices that we never saw again. Devices in shoes and hats, so that people eventually know that if they wanted to provide something for blind people, they should be coming to IMC and showing it there. Because you would have, after our first IMC with 12 countries, I'm really not sure what the biggest number of countries was at one time, but as you can see here, it's very, very diverse and very many different countries. I dropped out of the organizing committee in Marburg after we returned to Germany for the IMC. I left a really good committee behind me that's been organizing very well. And the idea was the person who organizes the next IMC would automatically come into this committee to share their experiences, how they got the money, how they got the sponsors, how they got the rooms, so that the next people would have an easier job of it. One of the most interesting places we were was Hong Kong. I had to go from table to table with Grace Chan and toast each table at the scale of dinner. They didn't have beer. So one of my colleagues from Germany went out, came back and got me a glass of beer so I could go around to the tables and toast. And it was very, very interesting. The Chinese culture, the Hong Kong culture, with the Spanish culture, with the Portuguese culture, completely different. But at the evening when they were together, you could see that the purpose of IMC was being met. They were really exchanging information. Oh yeah, yeah. And the dragon dancers, quite impressive. In Madrid we had the women dancing flamenco, and that's probably typical of IMC. We got a look at the culture as well as a look at the O&M programs and the rehabilitation teaching programs. In the course of time, teaching daily living skills has taken sort of a back seat. We don't get too many presentations about it, which is really tragic. You know, if you think about daily life for the population that is blind today, most of them are older people. They're probably not as mobile as they were earlier, but they still have to eat, dress, wash, take care of the household. And those programs are, at least in Germany, disappearing. There are no teachers being trained currently, which makes it a very difficult situation for daily living skills. Yeah. On that sad note,
No food in Germany.
no, you haven't said.
What's the biggest change you've seen since this all started in the field of habilitation and rehabilitation? What's the biggest?
The biggest change is the digital possibilities that have come for orientation, navigation, iPhones, smartphones, let's say, orientation has become easier, but the environment has become more complex. The devices can tell you how to get someplace. They're not going to tell you about the construction site with a deep hole or some of the detours you may have to take. But that's one of the biggest changes. Digital information, digital maps, communication with speech. You get a readout of almost any bus stop schedule by taking a camera to it. And of course, the development of canes has been phenomenal up right until today, with very light canes, very durable canes. And I think for me, the most positive thing is that wherever we've been, whether it was Madrid or Holland, the mobility programs were improved by the fact that we've been there. By the experts who've come to talk to the people, exchange face to face, and say, here's my email address, we can stay in touch. And I think that possibility with digital email and so forth has made it really, really intensive in the exchange. And when we had the trouble with the coronavirus, we had the possibility to do Zoom or to do online things that we wouldn't have had 10 years ago. So those would be the changes that I've noticed. And it's gotten more expensive. My wife's going to correct me.
I'm just adding on just about the representation, what I said last night about from Africa.
I can't understand you.
Okay, now you can. The representation from Africa, I miss this year very much. And that's one of the things I think changed.
Which presentation?
The representation, people who attended Africa.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
When we started out, much more money was available. The Christopher Mission for the Blind would at each conference bring in 20 people, 20 participants, pay for them from all the places where they were active in helping the blind in Africa, Asia. And when we were in Madrid, the ONSA, the Organization for the Blind there, brought in 20 people from South America, many of whom would have had no chance at all to come to Europe. And they put them up in the dormitory at the School for the Blind and paid for their meals. And they were really, really impressed with what's possible without so much money. At that time, the people from Africa, when we were in Stellenbosch, were showing us how to make alternative canes using junk, things that had been thrown away, because that's what they had. And when you see that in South America, you see you don't need to have a long cane made out of titanium or with ceramic coating. You need a stick in front that's very, very flexible and sturdy. And the Australians developed a tip that was curved up so they could go through sand. And that was a big deal for a lot of people who never thought of it that way. What we'd done before, we turned the first canes had a crook at the top. You've probably never seen those. When it had snow and stuff, we would turn that around and push the hook and like a sled. And the Australians simply developed a new tip that had that same effect. Yeah.
Regarding Africa, I was the chair when we had a conference, the online conference in Gothenburg. And then we had a lot of online people from Africa. So that was the solution that year. And then we could have a discount for them, and because they had the same problem in Africa with COVID. So we made some special arrangement with from South Africa. So we were glad we could do that during that time. That was in Sweden, that was in Gothenburg. It was the IMC18, but everything was online and we had to do also the planning of it online. So we had a huge room for 300 people and we were just allowed to be 8 persons there. It was very strange experience. So we from Sweden very much love to be here and see it at the conference.
It's also possible with this conference to visit it virtually. Some of our German friends have done that.
Yes.
I'd like to say one thing about the Corey Saturco Award, which is actually called the Saturco Corey Award. It's very much overweighted or overrated with Americans. Of course, they did a lot because they started this and they took it to a lot of places. But I am sure in other countries, if you just think about it, you have people who have contributed to the field, whether it's in Greece or in Gambia or wherever. And I think they should be recognized. I think the next time they call for nominations, give it a thought. Say, we've got some people here in Europe or in Africa or Asia that deserve that kind of recognition. I myself never got the award. Bruce Splash just said, we're going to name it after you, but you're not going to get it. So, well, Bruce doesn't like me that much.
This is a joke.
Yeah. But and it's also quite evident that the organizing committee is overrepresented in this award. Bruce should have never gotten it. But when you get down to things like that, it's not a big dinner, and although the piano music at the gala dinner here was worth coming to Warsaw for. The thing is that the people need the recognition and to be shown what you did was important. Too little time is spent saying thank you to people. When we left Western Michigan, Don Blash said, don't expect people to thank you for what you do. It's just not done. And from that moment on, we said, we're going to thank everybody that we come in contact with for what they do for us. And that's really, really important, I think. So now I'm going to stop boring you and go back and sit down. Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great. And for you who come late, this was just an informal speak. Yeah. Shall we, I don't know, you're here for the next presentation, I think, yes? Excuse me? No, there will be a presentation now. And perhaps, shall we start a little bit earlier? I think, is it okay for you? Would you, that we start now? With the last presentation? There is one presentation now, and it's from Greece, with Angeliki Berkokaki and Panagioti Pano. The other one was cancelled, excuse me. It was cancelled, and that's why this informal speech by Dennis, because it was cancelled and we didn't know where they are. We don't know where they are, actually. We had tried to be in contact with them and we don't know. The organization committee, they don't know either, so I'm sorry that I can't. But I think we can start a little bit earlier, and if someone drop in, I think it's okay. So very welcome, and you're perhaps, if you want to introduce yourself more, but you do it by yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Panayota Panou, and I come from Greece. I am an orientation, mobility, and daily living skills instructor there. I am here with my colleague, Angeliki Berkokaki, and we're going to talk about self-help groups for visually impaired persons who are trained in orientation and mobility. From our experience as O&M instructors with a university degree in psychology, we have observed over the years a usual request on behalf of our trainees for social contact with their mobility instructors and with other trainees in orientation and mobility. Even when there is a supportive environment for persons with visual disability, there is also the need for communication with people that can understand them, whether because they are professionals or because they are people who are struggling with the same disability, being in the procedure of training in orientation and mobility, therefore facing the same difficulties and challenges. Orientation and mobility training is, as we know, a very demanding and often overwhelming procedure, especially for newly blinded persons. And negative and positive feelings that arise need to be managed effectively. A self-help group led by an experienced O&M instructor can be an organized and safe environment for members to share their feelings, worries, and thoughts, their way of facing visual loss and grief, good practices, their interests and needs, but also knowledge and information on services, technical aids, new technologies, and ideas about everyday life. Through the process of mutual support, every group member can help themselves by helping others. A self-help group is a group of people who have a first-hand experience and understanding of a particular life situation or health issue, such as a long-term condition, and come together to address their common problems. Many people find that it helps to talk to someone who understands because they are in the same situation. Self-help groups members provide support, help, and consolation to one another, and they share their coping strategies. There is a variety of self-help groups to help people address a wide range of issues, including emotional concerns, physical disabilities, eating and food issues, addiction, bereavement, and illness. Many self-help groups have a professional facilitator who acts as a consultant. A mental health professional can help at the beginning, but later the professional can retire and hand over the operation of the group to its members. Another member of the group then takes over the role of leader facilitator. It is important to remember that a self-help group can succeed its goals when expertise remains on the part of its members. Self-help groups, we have to remember that, are not therapy groups, but they are similar to them. Group therapy is a form of psychological treatment where a group of patients needs to work on their issues with the help and supervision of one or more therapists. The interactions between the group members are part of the treatment, with multiple sources of feedback and ideas, providing the chance to learn to connect with others in a new ways and change how they deal with their problems. While both self-help groups and group therapy offer support, they have different goals. The goal of group therapy is to help members change, while the goal of self-help groups is to help members cope. According to Irvin Yalom, even though self-help groups are not officially therapy groups, they very often have therapy results, and they are in the diffused borders. They are somewhere between personal growth, support, education, and therapy. Self-help groups make extensive use of almost all therapeutic factors, especially altruism, coherence, universality, imitative behavior, instillation of hope, and catharsis, while interpersonal learning plays a much less important role in self-help groups than therapy groups. Self-help groups involve far less personality interpretations, less confrontation, and far more positive supportive statements than therapy groups. Participation in self-help groups often remains anonymous. It is difficult to have follow-up sessions if no records are kept, but they are effective. The effectiveness of self-help groups is due to the fact that they are open and easily accessible, offering psychological support to anyone who has the necessary group characteristics. They emphasize internal rather than external expertise, the means available within the group rather than those available from outside experts. The common experience of members makes everyone at the same time equal partners and reliable experts from whom one can draw constructive comparisons and even inspiration. Group members provide and receive support at the same time and benefit from both roles. Now, Angeliki, my colleague, will continue with the pilot program formed in Athens.
So, good morning. I'm just looking to find the, okay, here we are. So I am Angeliki. I am orientation mobility instructor and daily living skills instructors in Greece. Maybe I should mention here, after what Dennis Corey said, that we were trained 30 years ago in Denmark by Mr. Erik Ostergaard, who got the award in Hong Kong. And we are very proud of this. And in Greece, we have both specializations, orientation, mobility, and daily living skills, because Greek population is getting old, let's say. So the needs, as we said, the needs is very big for ADL also. So let me see. We would like to tell you many things about self-help groups. We gathered a lot of information, but time is running, so we will skip some points. Maybe we could tell you in a very quick way the characteristics, the therapeutic factors of self-help groups, according to Irvin Yalom, which is the instillation of hope, the universality, the imparting of information, altruism, development of socializing techniques, imitative behavior, interpersonal learning, group cohesiveness, catharsis, and existential factors. We could analyze and talk for hours about this, but we don't have the time now. So we'll skip some points. Maybe I could tell you some words about the procedure of the groups. Before the start of a self-help group, the facilitator provides basic information to the trainees that are interested in joining the group about the concept of self-help groups, the advantages of being in it, and the types of topics that they can be discussed. If there is enough interest and motivation, the facilitator can organize a formal planning meeting in an accessible location in order to discuss what the shared concerns are and establish what the initial focus of the group will be. For example, sharing feelings and experiences, raising awareness, exchanging information, resources. We think that the leader facilitator could be an orientation mobility instructor because this is the one that has the experience of working with visually impaired people. But we think that the best thing is that in this kind of groups, the leader has to leave slowly and let the role of leader to one of the most experienced members of the group, I mean, visually impaired person. The leader facilitator, let me see, should be an experienced orientation mobility instructor, should be able to lead and make the decisions and take the actions that keep the group running smoothly and pleasantly for everyone, should have the ability to empathize, to plan, communicate, and find information, introduce issues of common interest, and give everyone a chance to speak, keep the discussion on topic, to not let one person dominate and keep the time schedule. The leader should also allow members to express negative or angry feelings, but do not allow the group to dwell in negativity. The leader can encourage the rotation of roles and responsibilities within the group, assist the group to see how they can provide mutual supports on the other, assist with drafting group rules and regulations once the group is well established, maintain confidentiality, of course, within the group to promote honest expression, and be able to handle challenging situations in the group. When the time comes, he or she help the group choose a new leader facilitator among its members and ensure that the leader acts democratically, first of all. Now, what about the members? The members of a self-help group should be in our groups, trainees in orientation mobility must participate now or have recently participated in an ONM or and ADL training program. They may have a different level of vision loss and be in a different stage of adjustment of the vision loss. Some of the important skill group members could have included speaking in public with confidence, resolving conflicts, problem solving, etc. Sometimes self-help groups will benefit from the development of specific skills, and sometimes the skills may already exist within the group. What about the duration of such a group? Meetings should be long enough, but so long that people consider it worth the effort to attend, but not so long that it is difficult to fill up the time with meaningful discussion or activities. So we have the groups to last at about 1.5 hour, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The more often and the longer one participates in a self-help group, the greater the chances of significant benefit, as this gives time for meaningful relationships to develop. I mean, in order to come in contact and have contacts with other people, of course, we all need time in our lives. We cannot do this in just one session of 1 hour. Meeting places. Meeting places for a self-help group for visually impaired persons should be easily accessible and convenient for the visually impaired persons, for the group members, yes. Be quiet during meeting time, with adjustable lighting, with windows with blinds or curtains, and with accessible washrooms. What about the topics now that can be discussed? In self-help groups, in the meetings, participants share their experiences. Most of the times, their personal feelings, the information they have, each one of them, the strategies they have developed in order to deal with vision loss and live a fulfilling life. In other words, it is mutual support through the exchange of personal experiences, knowledge, reflections, concerns, and strategies. Maybe we could skip also this one. But we could say that an idea is that during the meetings of the group and after some time, we could invite also some different speakers to talk about different subjects, such as optometrists, ophthalmologists, another orientation mobility instructor, guide dog mobility instructors, etc. This seems to be very interesting for the members in order to give them a point to start conversation and exchange their experience. Self-help groups, though it is informal, must have some rules, must follow some rules, and that is that anyone who wishes to share something with the group has a chance to do it without being interrupted. There is a confidentiality in the group. What is said in the group stays in the group. They all know that it is okay to have a different opinion, and it is okay to not share if they don't like or if they're not in the mood to share. We are all equals in the group and in life, of course, and different, and accept one another as we are. We could say a few words about online self-help groups, but we don't have the time. And in general, if you would like to learn some more things about this, you could contact us in our emails, and we could send you this presentation. So we skip the online self-help groups, and let's see what we did in Athens last year. It was a kind of coincidence that brought 4 ladies of the same age, newly blind, to ONM training at the same period. You can see 3 of them in these pictures. They are different pictures in different environments, on a pavement with a tree behind the first trainee. The second one at the bottom, she's sitting on a bench by the sea. And the third one is standing, smiling in the outdoor area of a church. 3 of them are smiling and they're holding their canes. These ladies were facing the same similar situations in their everyday life, and as all of them were forced to cope with the vision loss together with the challenge to try ONM training and attempt to walk out independently with the use of the long cane. During their individual ONM sessions, we were informed about their similar thoughts and feelings, and were asked similar questions by them concerning not only the procedure and progress of our specific training orientation, mobility, and daily living skills, but also questions on technology, optical aids, technical equipment, possibilities of traveling, accessibility of transport means, etc. Relations with people around them, relatives, partners, friends, colleagues, were also topics of great importance for them to be discussed. We then proposed the idea of getting to know each other, meeting in group in regular basis, and in this way, having the opportunity to exchange experience, knowledge, ideas, and good practice. The reasons that lead to the creation and participation in such a group are mainly the feelings and the needs of the participants who are experiencing training in O&M and are making their first steps towards independent and safe travel. Even if trainees become independent through orientation mobility training, they still feel the need to have a group that supports and provides an empathetic relationship, a safe and emotionally comfortable place where they can meet and discuss about their experience, their thoughts, feelings, and needs. The O&M trainees can participate in such a group in order to share information of useful services and resources, exchange ideas, and find solutions to their common problems. Members can also support one another to make decisions, increase their mental strength, and in a few words, improve their lives. As there had been no experience before in such self-help groups in O&M trainees in Greece, we thought it would be appropriate that one of us, I mean Yota or I, would be like the coordinator of this pilot group for the start. Fortunately, our university studies in psychology, together with our specialization and experience in O&M and ADL, and our long experience in the field, together with a lot of personal therapy and work in groups and in person, and of course a lot of reading, supported our opinion about coordinating the pilot group at its very start. The plan was that the team would have the first meeting in the beginning of November 22. Before the date, we had already some talks about this idea and several relevant issues, such as the place, time and duration of the sessions, the coordinators and members' role, the rules of group function, the topics to be discussed, etc. Before the official opening of the group, members had met in couples for several times before they met all of them together, because we wanted to find out if they really can be together and if they have common things to share, and if they match one with another in order to bring them in a group. Because sometimes when you bring people together, you have also the responsibility that maybe instead of having positive results, you may have negative results. The main characteristics of this specific group were the similar age that varied from the age of 47 to 59 years old, and the level of vision loss. All of them had low vision since many years due to different vision problems, and they had been experiencing lately a deterioration of their sight. They had all experienced motherhood, but each one of them was in different marital status. Let's see some words about their interaction. In this photo, you can see two of them in their meeting together when they met each other for the first time. I cannot say their names. I have the permission. I have the permission to share the photos, but I cannot say their names. So let's say that E and M, their names. They just met for the first time. They hold each other and they smiling or maybe laughing. It's in the photo. That's why for them, from the very first moment, they felt very close to each other and they realized that they had a lot in common to share. Two of them, the two that you see in the picture, E and M, were extremely happy and excited. They felt connection and identification from the first time, while the other two, A and N, seemed to need more time to open. E and M enjoyed talking about relationships issues, such as the relations with their children, their partners, and their parents. Although E was very happy at the beginning, soon M started to press her about meeting a new man or stop O&M training. so that she doesn't get tired or dirty. M tried to impose to E her attitude in life to accept any help offered. After some time, E, who had a completely different opinion and lifestyle, reacted and insisted on what she really wanted to do for herself. On the contrary, A and N preferred to discuss more practical issues such as optical and technical aids, new technology and applications. As they live in the same municipality, about 40 kilometers from Athens, it's like a village. It's the place where I live also. They discussed also about accessibility problems, and they contribute very efficiently to the report that our department in the Pan-Hellenic Association of the Blind wrote and sent to the municipality demanding solutions. At the end of their individual O&M training, they had a lesson together using the metro and the bus, as A was still stressed at the idea of getting into the bus, and N was willing to encourage and support her. During their bus trip, N presented a new navigation application to A. Here we should say that N has also a hearing problem. We can talk to her, but we have to speak in a higher voice. So even if N is in more difficult condition, she helped a lot and encouraged A. This is N. A wouldn't like to be in the photo. Here it is. So we have only her hand, her foot, and her cane. And they walk together, they go for a coffee by the sea in the place where we live. Well, no, yes, there's no pavement. It's like in Africa, let's say. No pavements, no traffic lights, no crossings, nothing. And imagine one of them has also a hearing problem. At the last O&M lesson, we all met to celebrate the completion of the training and to share thoughts and feelings. A and N, who hesitated at the start, enjoyed meeting in the group, and they still wanted to stay in touch. You see, the people who in the beginning were very enthusiastic to be together, finally, they were opposite in their way they face life. But the two people who in the beginning were more in the distance one to another and needed time to get more close, they remained friends at the end. Unfortunately, you wonder maybe what happened next if the four of them met. That was the plan that they could have made up until now, about, let's say, 10, 12 times. But I got COVID after these meetings. I got COVID and I was sick for about one month and a half because I got it very seriously. So we didn't have the chance to meet in group. After me, one by another got COVID. So in the beginning, we said that I wouldn't do the presentation today. But Jota and I decided that we could do the presentation and present you what we did so far and continue our work later on and maybe present it in the next IMC. And now let's finish with our talk because our time is running with the benefits. The benefits that, as I told you, despite the short period of session, we could see a big number of benefits, even in these very few meetings, arising from the participation in self-help groups, benefits that seem to agree with the ones mentioned in international literature. In general, the benefits that arise from the active participation are the following, and I will mention it now quickly. Receiving information on the subject of visual impairment, increasing knowledge about the problem, reduction of relevant stress about vision loss, acceptance of the new situation that arises from the vision loss, taking better responsibility for the problem, receiving information on new skills and techniques to learn and to adapt in order to improve their everyday life, gaining knowledge of special tools, resources, and training that exist for people with vision loss, improving the level of functionality and quality of daily life, increasing self-management and self-care capacity, increasing empowerment in personal level. Also gaining emotional support from being in the company of others sharing the same experience, elimination of negative feelings such as loneliness, helplessness, and depression arising from the vision loss, gaining the ability to manage feelings of frustration and anger, a reduction of feelings of guilt and shame, negative mood and thoughts, isolation and existential anxiety, and of course, reduction of influence from stigma. Improving adaptation and well-being, development of positive attitude towards life, hope, and optimism, development of feelings of security, self-efficiency, and self-esteem, combating passivity and increasing the will to undertake personal responsibility, and developing the skill to make choices for themselves in order to regain independence and sense of purpose in life. And of course, increase in life satisfaction, improvement of family and social relationships also, improvement of social adaptation, overcoming social exclusion, succeeding reintegration in society, development of new social networks, and the ability to take action and bring about change through active participation in community and in decision-making processes. And finally, as a conclusion, we can define the self-help group as a vivid organization, a dynamic team where participants learn from other people's experiences and gain strength for themselves. At the same time, by sharing experience in the safe environment of a self-help group, they offer support and encouragement and help others to help themselves. In this way, each member has a double role, offering and accepting at the same time help and support. Through the process of mutual support, a self-help group, the members of a self-help group help themselves by helping others. And the last slide shows a picture of the two trainees, the first ones, that they hold each other. They're standing on a pavement, holding their canes, and they're smiling again. And we have here a word from Charles Dudley Warner that says, it is one of the most beautiful compensation of this life that no person can seriously help another without helping themselves. Thank you very much for your attention. We have here the email of our department. If it's not well, you cannot read it very well. It says mobility.ath@gmail.com. And we have also the sources where we found all the useful information for our theory of our presentation. And we have also a picture of our leaflet in the Pan-Hellenic Association of the Blind. It is in Greek, of course. With a sign, it's a blind person holding a cane, and there is a kind of, let's say, sun behind him. Thank you very much. If you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you very much. Interesting.
Thank you.
Yes, Pamela.
Your turn.
Your question?
I also want to thank you for the presentation. It was interesting. I'd like to expand on the idea of self-help groups.
I cannot hear you very well.
Years and years ago, we had a large O&M and daily living skills course. And one of the members said at the end, you know, it would be good if you could have a course, a self-help group for our wives. We'd like them to be able to understand how to give directions, how to support us in our lives. We said, that's a good idea. You get the women together for us. And we had a group of 7. So we started the evening before where we explained what we were doing only with the partners there. The blind partner was not with them. And we said, tomorrow morning, we're going to eat breakfast together under the blindfold. And we're going to video it. And then we're going to discuss later on what happened. So we had a really nice breakfast for them. One of the members said, I don't want to go into the blindfold. We said, that's all right. Just eat with us, enjoy it. And after breakfast was finished, Dennis was doing the videoing, the filming, and we said, okay, you can take your blindfolds off. And we both got the shock of our lives. one of the members started crying and said, no, this is the first time in 5 years that I've been able to have a breakfast where I didn't have to look to see, do I have to fill his coffee cup? Do I have to cut his bread and butter it? And the others all said, you know, that's right. If we're going to have a self-help group, blindness affects us all as a family, as a unit. We want to be able to discuss our problems. And it's been so good for this group. It's a very small group, but it is something that is really needed.
I totally agree with you. This is a great idea to have also self-help groups for relatives and families, but with a small number of members, as you said. In the past, we tried to have this, but we didn't have experience at that time, 20 years ago. But now we're thinking of starting again something like that from after summer. After summer, yes, we will do it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, we can add something. No. We can add something and then we continue.
Just wanted to add that the men, the blind men, never forgave me for starting that group, for Pam starting that group, because suddenly they had to do stuff for themselves. Their wives would say, you go out and get the rolls for breakfast. You can butter that yourself, and I don't have to take you to the doctor.
May I? I'm sorry. I'm just expanding. It was revealing that the sighted partners had guilt. I'm sighted, and my partner, the person I love, or the child I love, can't see. How do I deal with this guilt? And all of a sudden, because of the exchanges among themselves, they also said, this is something we're going to have to talk to our blind partners about. And eventually they were able to take opportunity where there were situations that brought stress within the family because of the blindness, not of the person, but because of the blindness situation. They were able to approach it so that the husband and wife could talk about it without getting emotional.
Thank you. I'm from the Netherlands, and in the past years, also during COVID time, we have started a lot of online meeting groups, also for different for clients, people with visual impairment. There are groups that meet online each 2 or 3 weeks. Children who leave primary school when they are 12, 13 years. The first year is that high school? I don't know how you call that. The first year, it's a difficult year, and they once per 3 weeks, they meet each other with one of us online. And now we are past COVID, so at least twice a year they meet in person. And I recognize a lot of what you say, that after meeting online several times, we bend backwards, and the youngsters, they take over. They have ideas, they have topics they want to talk about. And also we have, there are even, we start more groups for parents. There are grandparents asking us to meet each other, and a lot is online, because even I live in a small country, but it is not possible for everyone to travel and meet each other. And so we meet online a lot, and we meet less lot face to face.
This is good also to have the opportunity to have online sessions, because 2 of them asked us if we could meet online, because we live in far away one from each other. It was not very easy to meet live. So we thought that maybe we would have it Sometimes online, sometimes we would meet together.
So I think we have time for some more questions. Yes, of course.
Hi, so I am in America, so we have some different state organizations. One thing that we found, we have a student group that's for like transition age 14, 15. We have a senior population group. And then we have a couple of divisions that have to do with like special interest and things. But I work at a center, so we had added, many years ago, before my time, they started doing a thing twice a week where we meet together, and I don't participate because I'm sighted, but blind people talking to other blind people and having other people who have graduated from the center come in and speak about their experiences after transitioning to living independently, and just having that kind of discussion and being open about sometimes the unfairness of things and how they deal with that, get beyond it. We found that to be incredibly powerful and motivating. And so we do it twice a week. I know a lot of other American centers and commissions have started moving to maybe once a week or at least a couple times a month, and it's just made a huge difference. So I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the presentation. And I think we end this session by now, so you have to continue with other sessions. Yes. Thank you again.
One of our presentations, the one of last.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. I'm so happy to listen to it now. So yeah, thank you again.